conditions get treacherous. That's the number one message we want to get out today. If you can stay home, please stay home. In the meantime, we are making sure that our streets are as safe as they can be, and here's a little update about that. We have already brined all level 1 and level 2 streets. Level 1 street, a good example is Kingston Pike or Broadway. Level 2 streets include secondary roads like Adair Drive, Holston Drive. Our level 1 streets include all hospitals in the city. Level 2 streets also include some particularly critical areas like where nursing homes are, or CAT bus routes, or some trouble spots that tend to get particularly tricky. Brining helps slow down the freezing, and it makes it easier for our plows to remove snow. So we do have 24 trucks with plows and spreaders that are ready to go, and our fleet services who help maintain those vehicles are going to be up and running 24/7 to make sure that as the plows need servicing or repairs or anything that they need, our mechanics are there to make sure the plows keep running. We have 2,000 tons of salt ready to go and continue salting. All the level 1 and 2 roads have already been brined, but as ice and snow fall, particularly ice, I think we can add salt to that to help things melt. Let's see, what else? As you all made your way here, like I did, nothing has started yet, so we are trying to do our trash collection, recycling collection that would normally happen on a Friday is trying to get started a little earlier, so there's no changes in that regard. Our traffic engineering crews are getting started early to stage traffic barricades near trouble spots. So if there is a need to close a road due to extremely treacherous conditions that brining and salt can't help, we will need to close those down. So our traffic engineers are ready to do that. Warming centers. Of course, there are some members of our community who do not have a place to go, but luckily, in partnership with Knox County and our Joint Office of Housing Stability, we have worked with many area churches to open up warming centers. So those are already been stood up earlier this month, and they're going to be extending their hours during this severe weather. So they'll be open during the day today and through Friday night, and most will stay open through Saturday with the exception of Cokesbury, and they will close at 11 a.m. during some of the day Saturday. CAT, if you need a ride, CAT is continuing to operate, and if you are unhoused and do not have a bus pass, you just tell the CAT driver that you need a ride to the warming center, and they will let you ride there for free. And let's see, a lot of people have asked how they could help our unhoused neighbors, and the one thing that I keep hearing people need is, blankets, toiletries, underwear, new underwear, and things like that for the men and women. But there's a complete list at knoxtnhousing.org about what is most needed and where to drop it off. We are, KEMA, Knoxville, Knox County Emergency Management Agency, is opening up the Emergency Operations Center at 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock? 8 o'clock. In less than an hour, that will be opening, and what that means is that various emergency service entities that serve our city and our county will all be in one room, collaborating, communicating, monitoring, and doing whatever we can to keep our community safe. So speaking of safety, of course, a big part of that is our police officers and firefighters. So I'm going to turn it over to Scott Erlin to give some updates from police perspective.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you all for being here this morning, and thank you for the work that your organizations are going to do throughout the day to keep the community informed about this event, throughout this event. On our end, in addition to the Emergency Operations Center that KEMA is standing up, we'll have personnel there. In addition to that, as we speak, our own KPD Operations Center is stood up here at the Public Safety Complex, where we'll be managing our response throughout the duration of this event, closely managing calls for service and any other resources that are needed for our officers or the community. We're monitoring the weather really closely. We expect, last projections is this is going to make land here in Knoxville, but somewhere between that 10 and 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock range. If we have to, we'll flip to the snow plan And in the snow plan, what that means is officers will be doubling up in all-wheel and four-wheel drive vehicles. Again, closely monitor calls for service and triage those calls for service. We're not acting in the snow plan at this time, but that's one of the first things we might do if the weather starts to deteriorate. The thing we cannot emphasize enough is that as if this weather hits the way as it's expected to, travel is going to be extremely hazardous and dangerous and impacted. So we cannot emphasize enough, if you don't have to go out, please stay home. The beauty of this weather event is that it happened on a Friday. We've got the whole weekend here to get through this system. So if you don't have to go out, please do not go out. If you do have to go out, we urge you to take the necessary steps to make sure that your car is ready and weather ready. Make sure that the tread on your tires is good. Make sure that the windshield wipers are working. And pack a little emergency kit, just a little bit of the small essentials, the blanket, the cell phone charger, maybe some water, anything you might need in the event that you do get stranded. Of course, KFD and KPD officers will be working if we get to that point where we're having to go and check on stranded motorists, and Mark will get into that in just a little bit, but you always want to be ready. So that's the most important thing we want to emphasize at this point with this weather system heading this way, is just please pay attention to what's going on with the weather, what's going on with the road conditions. Pay attention to the city's various social media websites, whether that be KPD's, KFD's, or the city of Knoxville's various social media channels. We'll be updating on weather and road conditions throughout the day. So just pay attention to that, and if you don't have to travel, please do not. But we'll all be out, our officers, KFD firefighters will be out throughout the day, throughout the duration of this event, working incredibly hard to get to people and help people if they need it. So with that, I'll toss it over to Assistant Chief Wilbanks.
So Scott's hit mostly on all of the safety stuff that we're concerned with. Again, if you don't have to get out, please stay home. One of the big things that I want to talk about is we're limiting our responses down to quick response vehicles once the snow starts hitting, which means we're going to do everything we can to keep the big fire trucks off of the streets so that we don't have accidents in those very expensive vehicles. So you will see our quick response vehicles out on the road. We've increased that number this year, so we'll have a few more to respond to emergencies. One of the big things that I want to talk about this morning is if you are out and you see a vehicle that is wrecked, if it has been tagged either on the mirror, antenna, or the door handle with an orange survey tape, please realize that a first responder has already been there and checked that vehicle. You do not have to call 911. We will not respond back out if we've already checked the vehicle. We've already made sure that those folks are safe, have made their way home, they're waiting on a wrecker, whatever it takes. If you don't see those tags on the vehicles, certainly call 911 if you're concerned about a vehicle that is off the roadway. Again, the big thing is going to be driving on the streets in Knoxville over the next 24 to 48 hours. We want people to be very safe while we're out. The Knoxville Fire Department's well prepared for everything. We want to make sure that while you are staying home, you're practicing good home safety. Make sure that you're using safe heaters. If you do happen to run out of power, make sure that you're operating a generator outside, things like that. So just be very careful with things at home. It can take us a little bit of extra time to get to you.
Thank you, Scott and Mark. I just wanted to clarify, the warming centers will be staying open all day today, all day tomorrow, through Saturday night into Sunday, with the exception of Cokesbury, which will be closing for some time during the day Saturday. I think I maybe have been a little unclear about that, so I just wanted to clarify that. So the message is stay home if you can, stay off the streets if you can. If you do have to travel, practice caution, bring an emergency kit. We hope there are not power outages, but it's good to be prepared for that if need be. You know, charge up your devices, those sorts of things. And I would just encourage all Knoxvillians to check on your neighbors. If you have a shovel and are in good health, shovel your walk and maybe offer to do so for your neighbors as well. That might be a good thing for kids to help out with as they enjoy a day off of school if they have a shovel. You guys have any questions?
Is there anything that you guys kind of learned from last year's snowstorm that kind of changed your approach this year?
Well, last year's snowstorm was really an ice storm. It was unprecedented, the number of days it was so cold. So one thing it did remind us is that once the temperature gets below 20 degrees, there's no amount of plowing that can really help. The snow gets impacted and becomes iced over, and it was like a skating rink. And so we are hopeful that the cold weather doesn't last that long this year, but it is true that snow and our safety efforts, our plowing, our brining, our salting, doesn't have that much of an impact once it gets below 20 degrees. So again, the best thing we can do is stay home under those conditions. But we have learned that brining works under most circumstances. It helps a lot. Being proactive helps. It's important to help our neighbors. We learned that our quick response vehicles, which are four-wheel drive vehicles, are better than sometimes a larger vehicle under these conditions. So we learned that deploying those and working with our colleagues at AMR and Knox County, all hands on deck for getting people the places they need to go with those quick response vehicles was very effective last year. So I think Chief Wilbanks, do you have the QRVs? Are we standing those up more this year or something?
Yeah,
like that?
we've added a couple of additional units to put out on the streets. And of course, as the mayor alluded, we work with all of our partner agencies to make sure that the right person gets the right response as quickly as possible so that we don't miss a call, we don't cause a long delay. Obviously, because of the snow, potential ice tomorrow late, it can slow our responses down. So, it may take us a little longer to get to you, but somebody's coming.
So the snow isn't starting until late morning, early afternoon. Is there a certain time when you'll want people to really be off the streets?
Well, whenever conditions are treacherous. I mean, that's for today, but that's also when there's a severe thunderstorm. I mean, when there's treacherous conditions, it's best not to be on the roads. So if it isn't snowing yet, so if you still have some errands to run, now's a good time. But we're relying on your weather forecasters and others to keep us in the loop on when that weather is going to start to get more severe.
Scott, you had mentioned that snow plan. Once that goes into effect, how long do you stay in snow plan mode until things go back to normal?
We stay on that plan. That's ultimately a decision made at the command level. We stay on that plan until we've gotten essentially back to normal in the communities where the impact of the event is basically gone. So we'll stay in that snow plan as long as we have to. Last year, I think we were on the snow plan for that event we talked about for 8 or 9 days consecutively. So that was, as the mayor said, that was an extremely unique event, unprecedented to this community. Harken back to the blizzard of '93, I understand. So those aren't the kind of events you deal with on a regular basis. But on our end, that was one of the things that we took a look at after that event. Is we took a look at our snow plan and said, what do we need to change about this snow plan? Always trying to get better and learn from these kind of events. So, but we'll stay in that snow plan as long as we need to.
Yes.
You had mentioned that the CAT is running today to help get people to those warming centers. How long do you anticipate the buses being able to run on the streets today?
We've brined all the routes of CAT, and it'll depend on the severity of the weather.
CAT has a huge safety record. They are very safe. They will make the decision when they can't put the buses on the street anymore. If there comes a situation where power goes out and we need to help get people out of people's homes, we've done that in the past. We can do different things to make sure that people get to where they need to if they're in an unsafe position.
Any more questions? Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you all very much. Stay safe out there.
You guys have the road too.
Yeah, well, they don't get that much.
You just channel the bus release. Do you remember that?